time.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Underestimated Podcast. Your host, Jeremy Orr, back with another episode. Look, I'm gonna just jump straight into this. Y'all see the thumbnail, y'all see the title of this episode. I'm still trying to say it to myself over and over again to believe it, but I don't know if it happened, but it's still a hard thing to sort of wrap my head around. And this guy, born Idris, I believe, Femi Adebayo, aka Bam Adebayo, just dropped 83 points last night in a game against the Washington Wizards. Yeah, Bam Adebayo dropped 83 points in a NBA game. Is that a sentence I thought I'd ever be saying? No. But I don't think that is a sentence any of us would ever be saying. I don't think that is a sentence he himself ever thought he would have the ability to be able to say. Nonetheless, it's happened. It's here. So he did it. Can't take that away from him. But, it is my job, my obligation, and my pleasure always to sort of uncover the logistics and all the bells and whistles, all the things surrounding what actually happened with this. So, yeah, let's dive in to what Bam's 83-point game actually was. So, let me just kind of, for one, give the backstory of how I found out about this whole thing. So, I knew Bam had 40 or 42 heading into halftime. I was not watching this game. If anything, I was more so keeping up with the Spurs and Celtics game last night, because that was the game that was more appealing to my eyes, obviously. So, when I saw that, I'm like, I'm not really shocked at that. I'm more so of the mindset like, okay, well, Bam is just about to have a career night. Because I believe up until last night, his career high was, in fact, 41. So, when I see that, I'm like, okay, maybe he's just about to have a career night. Kudos to Bam, right? I'm not really thinking anything of it. And then me and my granny talk all the time. I love that woman to death. And, she's the cool granny. Me and her can have any sort of conversation where neither of us feel disrespected or uncomfortable, right? So, but one thing I love about her, and one thing that, we mutually share a connection on that makes us even closer, is our love for the game of basketball. We both love basketball, through and through. Like, she genuinely watches as much basketball as I do. Yeah, arguably, she could watch more basketball than I do, because, she's almost 80 years old, so she doesn't really have anywhere to go or anything else to do. So she has a lot more time to watch basketball than I do. But nonetheless, we don't really. Sometimes we'll talk. Maybe like if we start talking at 8:39, we can very well talk to 10. But we don't. I don't usually call her. She doesn't really call me after about 9 or 9:30. My grandmother called me at like 10:30, 11 o'clock last night, and she's like, "Jeremy, like, do you see that Bam has 83 points?" And I'm like, huh? He has 83? I'm like, I just checked and the dude had 42. How did he double that, basically? And then, granted, I never would think my grandma would lie to me. So, like, I know she wasn't lying to me, but I just was like, I have to go look at this for myself. So, I go to my handy dandy ESPN app that I check. I check ESPN daily like it's social media. Like, I check the ESPN daily. So I go on it, and obviously I see the Heat and Wizards game, And I'm like, wow, this is for real. And I'm trying to, me being who I am, I want to get into the deep depths of it. So I'm looking to see how this happened. He went 7 of 22 from the 3-point line. And then I believe he went 34 of 93 from the free throw line. 34 of 43 from the free throw line. And then I think he went 20. I think 20 of 43. Let me check on that. So, since I have the actual stats up here for myself now, I can actually read to you the exacts of what that was like. So, Bam finished with a stat line of 83, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. Shot 20 of 43 from the field and 7 of 22 from 3. Also, 36 of 43 from the free throw line. And it's also, one of the guys I grew up on. King of the fourth quarter, KOT4Q, Kenny Beecham, whatever you want to address him as. Kudos to him, because I'm just trying to get where he's at. Started off on YouTube and has now, works for NBC and has worked, I think, with TNT, and he's doing it big. He's definitely turned it into reality. I'm trying to get like him. So definitely got it I looked up to, and a guy that I grew up watching. I've been watching him since I was in gotta be middle school. But I originally started watching the guy for his 2K videos, because he's a guy that's got me into rebuilding. I love to go on 2K and mess around in my league and my NBA and rebuild teams. I do it now, actually. Something I love to do in 2K still. It keeps the game somewhat enjoyable for me nowadays. But even then, I could pick up on his basketball expertise, right? And now look where he's at. Got his own podcast. But I'm bringing his name up to mention that, one thing I can count on him for is, when things happen, he's on it quick. And I don't think it was maybe 30 minutes after the Heat and Wizards game, and he put out a video about Bam dropping 83 points. So he was the first guy I watched after all of this happened. And I'm listening to it, and he said a lot of things that made sense. And one of the things that he, I agree with him on 1,000% was when he said everything in this game went right for Bam. And that's true. I told my friend that this morning, because me and him, I think I called him around 11 just to get, because that's my guy. That's like my twin. That's my guy. And if I ever need a laugh, I know I can depend on him, because that dude, he's just such a great person. But so I'm talking to him, trying to get his reaction on the game, and he's telling me everything, and he goes on like a 30-40 minute rant, right? Because he was more so, everyone that I've been seeing, right, has been on two opposite sides of this thing. You got the sides where it's like, oh, we don't more so care that it's Bam, we just care that he broke Kobe's record, right? Then you have the other side where it's like, oh, we don't really care that he broke Kobe's record. We just care that it's Bam that's the person, that is now the second, had the second game high in scoring under Wilt Chamberlain. He was on that side. So he just goes on his tangent about all the guys that it could have been and how it's Bam, and it was funny. He had me dying for an hour, basically. So yeah, so I'm talking to him, and I'm just getting all these perspectives, and it's like, yeah, all the bells and whistles sort of just went in Bam's favor. You play one of the worst teams. Well, you can, I think it's pretty fair to say that the Washington Wizards are the worst team in the NBA, which is a hard thing to say because they're the nation's capital. You know, like they're in Washington D.C., where the White House is. The White House is where the President of the United States is. You know, and they are the laughing stock of the NBA. But you take that into consideration, right? I mean, obviously, it's more impressive if you do it against a championship contending team or a playoff team, even a play-in team, right? It's more impressive. But we don't really see that happen because it is way less unlikely. Like, you might see a dude get lucky, right, and get it on, like, maybe he might drop 50, maybe 60 if he's lucky on a play-in team or better. Dudes ain't dropping 80 on no championship contending team, right? So, gotta take that into consideration. And actually, the Heat are actually pretty good. I believe the Heat are a play-in team this year. Which Bam also said that too. He was like, I'm tired of playing the play-in. Like, I want a surefire playoff spot. And I mean, to be honest with you, another nugget I'm gonna throw in here. I hate the play-in tournament. When I grew up, I mean, I'm not that old, but like growing up, when I was growing up watching basketball, if you made the top 8 in your conference, you were a playoff team. There was no, oh, I got to go play a team twice or win twice in a play-in tournament just to solidify my spot. Nah. If I was in that top 8 by the end of the season, I'm in the playoffs. All this other stuff now, I hate it. I hate it. But they got to do what they have to do to reel in those viewers and, you know, keep the money intact. So even though I think if they still kept the same format, we'd still watch. Like, even when we talk about something like the All-Star game, I know I'm going all around the world with this, but talk about the All-Star game. No matter what format you implement, the numbers might be down, but people are still going to watch. I have watched all these All-Star games. Every All-Star game that has happened since I started watching basketball, yeah, I've seen it. Except for this one. The only reason I did not watch this All-Star game is because Steph Curry was not in it. So I did not care for it whatsoever. But every other one, I've seen. And I have not had a problem with any of it. Because to me, honestly, of course I want to see great basketball, but I love basketball so much to the point where I just want to see basketball. Like, that's pretty much all it is to me. So, back to Bam, though. They were also missing 2 of their key players. Tyler Hero, who was All-Star caliber, and Norman Powell, who I believe was actually an All-Star this season. Or maybe last season. Maybe both. But nonetheless, an All-Star caliber player, right? And so, really, you have no one really challenging Bam or competing with Bam as the number 1 option last night, right? Like, Bam is certainly the 3rd option on that team when Tyler Hero himself and Norman Powell are all playing, right? But Bam was the number 1 guy out there last night. So there was really nobody there to compete with him. It was all Bam. Like, then his mom was there and his girl was there. Asia Wilson was at the game. Like, the one thing we always joke on Jordan Poole about is how when there is a girl out there that he likes in the crowd, he goes ballistic. And I mean, I ain't hating on it. I respect it. Cause I mean, hey, your girl's at the game, and I believe because I was man, I love, man. Anybody knows me knows that my favorite movie ever, Love and Basketball. And if you look at all the things that transpired last night between Asia Wilson and Bam Adebayo, not just from last night, but I mean throughout their whole publicity of them being in a relationship, it's been beautiful to see. And I mean, it's truly Love and Basketball. So they hugged after the game, and he brings her to the post-game press conference, and talks about how meaningful she is to him, and she does the same thing in reciprocal. it was just beautiful to see, and I get it. Like I understand if my girl's at the game, yeah, best believe I'm gonna get mine. So I completely understand that. And now she was like, yeah, well, I no longer have the career high in the house anymore because I believe her career high is 53, and now he has 83. So he definitely shattered that. But I mean, I know she was happy for him, and I don't really think I'm on either side of this in terms of, am I mad that he broke Kobe's record, or am I just mad because it's him? Nothing to do with Kobe. The dude did it. Like, regardless of how he got it done or what things surrounded it, he got it done. Like, at the end of the day, regardless of what we want to say, what we want to do, how we feel about what Bam did, he did it. He did it. Like, on March 10th, 2026, Bam Adebayo scored 83 points against the Washington Wizards. And there is nothing any of us can do about it. Like, we cannot take this away from the dude. I'm actually happy for him. Bam is growing on me. I get it. He's not your typical scorer. But I won't sit here and tell you he's not a capable scorer. I think the way that he plays both ends sort of evens him out as a basketball player. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that if Bam wants to get his, he can't get his. He can get his for sure. And now you're seeing all these clips come out about people saying, there was this thing I saw with his rookie teammate, Khalil Ware, who was a guy that I think definitely going to be a future All-Star. That dude can play. He said, I guess, shortly after he was drafted by the Miami Heat, they asked him about his Mount Rushmore. I saw it on TikTok this morning, I believe. And I believe he said Wilt, Kobe, Anthony Edwards, and Bam, or something. And then you have this other clip of Michael Beasley saying that Bam is the only person to ever beat him in a 1v1. So, and then you see another thing about Damian Lillard saying that Bam told him during the Team USA tenure that he wanted to average 30. And I mean, honestly, after he drops 83, who can say that he's, that he can't do it? And I looked at his averages this morning. Bam's averaging a solid even 20 points per game this year. And I believe this is the second time, if that holds firm for the rest of the season, this will be the second time he's averaged 20 points per game in a season. And he's been relatively close to it the past couple of years. I believe he's at 19, 18, so he's kind of hovered around that 20 point per game mark throughout the course of his career. And it's just, it does feel kind of weird when you have to put Bam in the same breath of guys like Wilt and Kobe. Because we're talking about two guys who arguably are top 5 players of all time. You have to now mention Bam Adebayo in the same breath as those two people because of this one singular thing that he did that is in similarity to those two people. But I will say I'm glad I was alive to see it. When Kobe dropped 81, let me check on that. Okay, I was looking to see, when it happened, because I don't know if I was born yet. I was not born yet. Kobe Bryant dropped 81 points on January 22nd, 2006. I know I didn't see the game, but I was just trying to see if I was at least born yet. No, I was born a couple of months after this. I was born April 16th, 2006. So Kobe did this a couple of months before I was born. In a 122-104 victory over the Toronto Raptors. And yeah, I mean, the fashion that Bam did it, I told my friend this morning. Kobe dropped his 81 within the flow of the game. Kobe was just genuinely giving it to those boys the entire game. And it was just nothing that they could do about it. That first probably 40, 50 points Bam scored was truly genuine. That last 30 though, like even to Kobe, back to Kobe. A guy that was a very good coach, Sam Mitchell, at the time was coaching the Toronto Raptors. And he said in the press conference after the game, I do know this. He was like, man, Kobe was just, we couldn't do anything. We sent double, we sent triple, and he still managed to score just about every time. But if you look at the game last night, because we're in a league where, scoring, you got scores that are getting DNPs. You know what I'm saying? You got genuine bucket getters that get, continuous DNPs on NBA teams, right? Like the game is just at its highest in terms of the variety in which talent is distributed, right? But the Washington Wizards were not even doubling or tripling Bam until I believe he had about 60. Like, it shouldn't have taken that much for him to start, If I am a coach, right? Once a dude gets 30, maybe even 25, I'm starting to adjust my game plan. Because ain't nobody just finna get off on me. No. It should not have taken them that long. And I mean, Brian Keefe is, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if, looking at it now that I think about it, allowed one singular individual to get 83 points on his team that he coaches, I wouldn't be surprised if he is not the Washington Wizards head coach next year. But if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. But we know, most guys, just like in the NFL, most head coaches come from being a coordinator on one side of the ball. Same thing sort of with head coaches in the NBA. They get hired to be a head coach, but we understand that there's a certain part of the game that they sort of specialize in, and we expect that team to sort of be better on that side of the ball. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Brian Keefe is a, defensive oriented coach. So if that is the case, then this looks even worse. And it's crazy because, I've said this millions of times, but I don't believe there's a bad team in the NBA. Like, some teams just need time. And a lot of things can be, organizational structure and things like that. Same thing with Washington. Washington has pieces. You got Trae Young. You got Will Riley, who looks to be nice. You got Sarr, who actually, I believe, had 28. Yeah, he had 28. And it's crazy because his performance is now going to get, thrown in the dumps because, for one, he allowed single-handedly 83 points. Well, not all 83, but, I mean, obviously he was guarding Bam the vast majority of the night. And then you lost by 21. So, like, him dropping 28 pretty much means nothing. I'm not really sure what it means for him. It would be interesting to see if he did a press conference last night and what he had to say about all of this, or what any of them had to say about Bam dropping 83 points on them last night, because that is crazy. And it's crazy because another argument my friend made was like he was just going down a list of all the guys that just have not done this. And, I'll down the hill saying this: Kevin Durant is in my eyes, and you can't tell me otherwise, the greatest scorer this game has ever seen. Is Jordan the GOAT? Yes. But in terms of just scoring the basketball, nobody, in my eyes, is better than Kevin Wayne Durant. Nonetheless, he's never gotten 80. KD has never gotten 60. KD's career high, because me and my friend, researched it this morning. 55. 55, Donovan Mitchell has had 71. I believe Dame had 71. Devin Booker had 70. Joel Embiid had 70. Luka had 70. And so you sort of get to think about, like, who could actually do it, right? And so me and my friends were having a conversation this morning in the group chat about it. And I went on a rant last night. I was like, because y'all know who my guy is, Steph Curry. And I'm just sitting here like, dude, you can pull from Jupiter and make it. And you can't. And the dude, that's what I did on TikTok. He was like, dude, if Steph Curry shot 53s and made all of them, he'd have 153s. But, I mean, like I said, everything just fell into place for Bam. Like, Eric Spoelstra, surprisingly, as one of the greatest head coaches of all time, kept Bam in for most of that game. Like, he wasn't like, oh, you know what, Bam got 60. Let's just go ahead and pull him out for the night. He good. He done did his due diligence. Nope, he kept him in there and kept letting him do what he does. Teammates kept feeding him the ball. I mean, everything was in tune for Bam to get his 83. So, congrats to Bam. Kudos to Bam. I mean, it was impressive, but, I mean, I told my friends this morning, back to that, I was like, yeah. I said, call me crazy, but Michael Porter Jr. could probably do the same thing. Because another guy that just does not pass the ball, can throw up all kind of shots, crazy shot making, I was like, that would be my dark horse to do something like this if we ever see it again. And to tell you the truth, I do hope we see it again. Like, now you just get to think even crazier. If Bam can give us 83, like, who's to say that in a 12-minute game, barring, not fouling out and staying in, let's just say 40 of the 48 minutes, who's to say that that someone can't eclipse 100? That is, breaking it down simply, that is 25 points. Or technically, if you want to break it at least, 26 points a quarter. Which is not an easy thing to do. This is the NBA still. That's all, let's take that into account. 26 points is not easy to get in an NBA game for the entire game, let alone a quarter. But Bam just had it. And I have not talked to my dad yet, though. It's going to be interesting to hear his thoughts when he comes home today. So, yeah, I talk to him, see what he says about all this. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Congrats to Bam. I'm not on the fence about it. I'm happy for him. I'm not mad. I'm cool about it. I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. I'm not mad that he broke Kobe's record. Or mad that he is the one that is under Wilt in terms of scoring game highs. I'm not opposed to any of that. So, but I will say it is a crazy moment, crazy experience. But glad to be alive for it to experience it. So yeah, I appreciate y'all tuning in always. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Always remember, Don't underestimate. Appreciate. Go.